Years and years and years ago, back in the 40s, the Cleveland Rams were the team. And then this guy named Paul Brown invented the Browns. So there's a lot of Cleveland connections in this game. But the big discussion is not about that. Can Joe Flacco lead us to the promised land? Without Denzel Ward today, but Myles Garrett is a go, which is great. This is a weirdly big game. Usually NFC West games like this aren't that big. This one has a lot of juice to it. Can the Browns, are they able to figure out how to get a win against a team like this with the schedule they have coming up after this? After this game, Jacksonville, a bunch of teams in the AFC. Winning this game's kind of key today, weirdly. Need this game today. Because playing Jacksonville, which the Browns historically have never done well, and Jacksonville's good, and then you follow that up with all the pressure to try and make the playoffs. This game today is weirdly big, Tony. It's weirdly big. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's a good chance to get ahead and really give us more wiggle room going down the line. That's what that big stretch of games did against the Steelers and the Bengals, or not the Bengals, Steelers, Ravens, and Niners. We can get another win today, give us a lot more room for more things to go wrong down the stretch.
We talked about this a lot yesterday on our YouTube channel, Believe in the Land, but we'll talk about it here again. This is a big story. Everybody's curious to know what can we think about with Joe Flacco? Hard to guess, in my opinion. I don't really have I usually try to have some sort of vibe. The only thing I can get from afar is it seems like the players and the coaches are excited about him. So there's naturally some sort of excitement about Flacco. Maybe I'm being too, I would say, not excited. Maybe he's going to be great today. I don't know. I get that feeling from the players and coaches are very excited about Flacco.
Yeah, I think they're just relaxed to see someone who's probably calm and smart about the game, just not brought into this situation and completely panicking, but kind of not expecting a whole lot out of Joe Flacco, not in a bad way. I think if we don't notice Joe Flacco a ton today, then that means he did a great job. He needs to just be a game manager. He doesn't need to make the deep shots and really open up the defense with the throwing. He just needs to keep them on balance, keep the offense ahead of schedule, and make a couple timely throws and let everybody else do their job.
Well said by Tony. In this game, love to see the running game.
Yep.
Didn't see it last week. Need to get that running game going. Everyone forgetting the Rams suck. Charlie, I think the Rams are average.
Yeah.
I don't think they suck. I don't think they're good. This is a dangerous opponent because if you don't take them seriously, you're going to lose. Aaron Donald is still a beast. Stafford is a competent quarterback. This is much like the opponent last week, in my opinion. Rams can run the ball well. They have a good coach in Sean. I like Sean McVay a lot. Ohio guy. Tony is a dangerous opponent. I don't agree with the Rams suck. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they suck. They're definitely not threatening to make a playoff run this year, and they're not the best team. They're one of probably the third easiest game left, so very average in terms of that's what they are. Stafford's not at the point in his career where he's going to light you up anymore, but he's still capable. Cooper Kupp's got a lot of talent. Puka Nakua's got a lot of talent. Kyron Williams has had a really good year. Like you said, on defense, not a ton of very standout names, but Aaron Donald does so much single-handedly that he kind of brings the rest of that below-average unit up to average just by himself.
Yeah, I agree with Robert Ann, who I know and love to death. We need to take every opponent seriously. Yes, the Browns do. And that's why it's huge also that Myles Garrett's back. Huge. It would have been a devastating blow. I think another big storyline for this game in weeks to come, I think the Browns are finally there. They can't sustain too many more injuries. The Browns have been really banged up, and frankly, star players like Myles Garrett, they need to get Denzel Ward back. They cannot lose Amari Cooper at this point. Tony, I don't think the Browns can absorb too many injuries. They have to stay healthy. It's actually out of my storylines now. They got to try to stay healthy as best they can in these games.
Yeah, I think that's going to result in you're going to see less Myles Garrett. I don't think you're going to see him we were seeing him every single down before for the most part. Now, I think they're going to try to save him for when they absolutely have to use him. Not that he's going to be sitting on the sideline all the time, but they're going to do a better job rotating. And with the point on the injuries, it's just maybe it's because the Browns aren't typically still alive at this point in the season, it looks like, but I can't think of a team in recent history who's dealt with the severity of the injuries that we're dealing with. Like, it is remarkable to see all the impact players that are going down.
Yeah, Browns have lost. I mean, we don't need to go through the list. The list is pretty obvious. 4 knees, 25 carries today, says Cam Holmes. I would say around 20. They need to spread out those carries to Pierre Strong. Well, I haven't seen Pierre Strong in a while. And Kareem Hunt's banged up, but they need to get Kareem Hunt in positions to run short yardage on the goal line. That'd be my other big theme for today. Again, take the Rams seriously. They can really run. Again, all right, Tony, it's another team that can really run the ball. They are in the upper half of rushing. They're actually right behind the Broncos. Literally goes Broncos and Rams in a rushing efficiency. So it's another team that can really run the ball well. I would hope we would slow down the Rams running game today. They got gashed up the middle last week by the Broncos, as you pointed out in your article on BelievingLand.com.
Yeah, they did not do a good job stopping the run, and that's even more remarkable to think considering all the injuries the Rams have dealt with at running back. And while a good rushing attack comes primarily from your good offensive line and good play calling, they went back to get Darrell Henderson, who was off their team for a long time, and they already waived him. So they were dealing with injuries to that room and still managed to stay afloat. So just like the Browns' offensive run scheme, it's not one that is dependent on a star running back like Todd Gurley or Nick Chubb. It's going to be good no matter who you have in there.
Robert and I think Flacco will help in this department a little bit with catching the ball, but the Browns have had the dropsies lately, and it's been throughout. Frankly, I think people have been too hard on DTR with his throws. There should have been more catches made. I guess it happens, but these are dependable receivers, especially in Njoku. Njoku's definitely had some drops. Not how to describe it. It's been very disappointing. I also think, too, for the Browns, going deep, it would be nice to have someone like Flacco who can go deep and just wing the ball down the field. Don't you think, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need it because that was a big thing in the Steelers game is Steelers knew the game plan was going to be that they weren't going to let DTR throw it deep. So the DBs were just breaking on first move, and second half we couldn't move at the ball at all. So now if there's at least some sort of a presence of, hey, they might throw it deep, that'll push the safeties back, make more room in the second level, and allow Flacco to dissect some defense.
Cam, if you want a sneaky good pick here, as Newsom going outside this week, Flacco's activated. That was a given. They snuck in the last night. Don't be surprised if AJ Green plays outside a little bit today. Just calling it now. He's actually a dependable backup. He's not good. He's average. But I think Newsom got exposed last week. I know we talked about it. It might actually be better off playing AJ Green getting burned a little bit and actually having Newsom, who's a strong slot corner, do that. What do you think? That's what I would do.
I think it's not a traditional week to talk about outside corners and slot corners because the two best receivers on the Rams, neither of them are really prototypical outside receivers. Both of them kind of do, like one of them's always going to be in the slot. The Rams are always going to have three wide receivers on the field. They're not gonna have two tight ends out there a lot. So it's odd that they're gonna have one of their better playmakers in the slot at all times. So having Newsom there might not be a relegation like we would think, but it's still, he had a rough game last week. He's had a good year, but he had a rough game. Really could use to have him bounce back, and maybe he needs to be back in the slot to do that.
Look, I'll define it. Your two starting corners from here on out on the outside, when healthy, is Ward and Emerson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not even close. It's not even really debatable anymore. Newsom's a slot, which is, by the way, I agree with what Tony just said. Don't take that as a dig. Slot's a very big thing in the offenses. So people sometimes think like that's a diss. It's not a diss. It's just what he does best. Take it for what it's worth. In this game, Tony, I think the one thing I like about this week, having the team out in LA and actually giving them a chance to bond again, I think was big. I clearly thought the team was flattened out of it last week. It was such a frustrating loss. I do think the week of bonding together in LA will actually help in this game. It actually might be a factor in this game.
Yeah, definitely, because, normal time you lose that kind of a game to the Broncos where you could have played better and things just didn't go your way. You're probably just going to avoid the facility. You're going to get back there eventually, but you're not eager to get back. You're not waking up Monday morning, let's go. So now you don't really have a choice when you're on the road.
Right.
Like, it's either go sit in your hotel room or go do work. And so most of the time the guys choose, hey, let's spend some time together, maybe whether that's watching film or doing some just team bonding stuff. Hopefully it does. They seem like a very close unit as it was. So any closer they could get is just good for the future, not just this year.
Okay, we're going to change gears quickly and then come back to this. Good one for the Cavs last night. Had some moments where it was sloppy, but they did get the win, which was good to see. Great defense from Okoro in the third quarter I thought was really the difference. In Niang, I thought Niang actually brought some energy finally. That's his. Okay. I say Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama. I would not include Florida State. Who's your top four if you have one in your brain?
This is the one year where it's like I can't even understand because there's really Michigan and Washington are in. Everybody knows that. There's no – so you could argue probably 4 spots for the next 2.
Yep, I
Because
agree.
you could make a case for Georgia. You could make a case for Florida State.
Yep.
It's to me, I think Alabama's going to be in regardless.
Yep.
And I think then it's whether the committee goes to most deserving teams or best teams. If they go to most deserving, it's kind of funny because if they go to most deserving, it'll be Florida State. If they go to best, it's probably Georgia. But if they do something in between, then it's Texas because they're in between deserving. So I don't know. The committee, this is the first year where I actually don't have the slightest clue. I'll say Michigan, Washington, Alabama, and then the last one, toss up.
The reason why I give it to Texas beat Alabama in Alabama. I know it's a long time ago. I know it's a century ago. I actually think Texas looks great. I think Texas belongs in that spot. It's sickening for Georgia. Next year, they'll get in. All these teams will get in, which will make it a lot more fair. Florida State's defense is there. Their offense, that's the only team I just don't see it offensively.
Yeah.
With their quarterback being out, I just don't see it offensively. Georgia is going to make a good fight for a position too. But Texas and Alabama both deserve it, in my opinion. They both won their leagues, and they both have high-powered offenses. And again, for people to go question Texas' schedule, they beat Alabama and Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama has a lot of – and they won comfortably by 10.
Yeah.
So it's the only Alabama loss for the season. So I think that alone gets them in my opinion. Okay. I think the Browns win today, Tony. Something goofy, like 18-14. I think it'll be a goofy score again. Defense is going to have to lead the way. And I do think Joe Flacco will bring a calmness to his team. But I see this game being close throughout. I don't see either team blowing the other one out. I see it being very close throughout the game.
Yeah. I'll say 16-13, close, low-scoring game. The biggest keys, obviously, always run the ball, stop the run. We got to get out to a better start. We're known this year for getting out to slow starts. And this team is not built without Deshaun to play from behind. They're built to play with a lead, run it, and then use your pass game off the run game. So defense needs to get out to a strong start, keep the game close, and then offense get a quick lead and just protect it the rest of the way.
Halftime after the game, be here. 4:30 kickoff. Really late start today. BelieveInTheLand.com for all your great Browns coverage. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
We will see you at halftime.